By the time I realized I had destroyed my life, I was standing in a courtroom watching my husband walk away with our daughter, her tiny hand in his, clutching the stuffed bunny I gave her, eyes full of confusion. All because of the choices I made behind his back. And he didn't even look back. Not at me. Not even when I whispered his name through shaking lips, knowing I'd traded a lifetime of love for a moment I couldn't take back. That moment lives in me. Not just in memory, but in every breath I take, in every morning I wake up alone, in every photo Grace no longer draws for me. It lives in the silence of a home that used to echo with laughter, in the cold side of the bed that used to be warm with love, and in the mirror that reflects a version of me I no longer recognize. I was loved deeply, completely. I had what most women prayed for. Daniel didn't just love me. He believed in me. He protected me. He gave up everything to make sure I never had to go without. And I betrayed him. Not because I stopped loving him. Not because he hurt me. But because I was foolish enough to believe that something shinier, something more exciting, could somehow make me more. It started with whispers. I married Daniel Young. We were barely out of college, and neither of us had a dime to our names. He worked warehouse jobs while studying to become a teacher. I put my education on hold when I got pregnant with Grace. We were barely surviving in a tiny apartment with creaky floors and broken cabinets. But we were in love, and that made it beautiful. Daniel got his first teaching job when Grace turned 5. Suddenly we had health insurance, a used SUV, a small house with a patchy backyard and enough space to breathe. For the first time we could exhale. I went back to school part-time and started making friends with other moms. That's when the whispers began. Not from Daniel. Never from him. From the women at school. From the PTA cliques and yoga groups. The ones who wore designer bags and never re-wore an outfit. They didn't say anything cruel out loud, but their eyes did the work. They'd glance at my worn flats, at the coupons I used at brunch, at the car I drove with the dent in the door, and smile a certain way, like I was a quaint little project they tolerated. I started to feel invisible. Enter Vanessa, the queen bee of the school moms, flawless, composed, terrifyingly charming. She took an interest in me, said she admired my natural vibe, called me refreshing. She was married to a man who made 7 figures and drove a new Tesla every year. They had a nanny, a personal chef, and a vacation home. She lived in a world I only saw on Instagram, and for some reason, she pulled me into it. She started inviting me to boutique openings, spa weekends, exclusive luncheons. I'd lie to Daniel and tell him it was mom stuff. I didn't want to explain how badly I craved the feeling of being included. I told myself it was harmless, just networking, just letting myself breathe a little after years of diapers, and debt, and sacrifice. Then she introduced me to her brother, Marcus. He was all charm and tailored suits, a finance guy with a smirk that made women feel chosen. He noticed me instantly, flirted openly, complimented me like I hadn't been complimented in years. He told me I was stunning, that Daniel was lucky, that if he were my husband, he'd make sure I never lifted a finger. I laughed. I told him I was happily married. I wore my ring like armor, but the seed had been planted. The texts started a week later. Just friendly at first, then personal, then intimate. I told myself I wasn't doing anything wrong. I wasn't meeting him. I wasn't hiding anything. But I was, because every time his name popped up on my phone, I smiled in a way I hadn't smiled in months. Daniel noticed. He always noticed. But he trusted me too much to question it. He'd kiss my forehead at night, still bring me tea without asking, still rub my shoulders when I came home tired. That's what made it worse. His love was so consistent, so honest, so boring in its reliability, that I didn't realize it was the only thing holding my entire world together. The first time Marcus and I met alone, it was for coffee, then lunch. Then came the weekend conference. That's what I told Daniel it was, a networking retreat for moms starting side businesses. Marcus had phrased it that way, like it was an opportunity, not an invitation to ruin everything. Daniel didn't question a thing. He offered to watch Grace with a smile, even packed my favorite snacks for the drive. He kissed me at the door, tucked a note into my bag that read, "You've got this. Love you always." I cried for nearly an hour on the road, silent, choking sobs behind the wheel. But I kept driving, kept lying to myself that I was just going to talk, just to see what it felt like. Marcus met me in the hotel lobby with that familiar glint in his eye. He didn't talk much. He didn't need to. I followed him to the elevator like I was on autopilot, my stomach twisting tighter with every floor. We rose. The room was quiet, dim. He poured drinks. I didn't take mine. We stood close for a moment, too close. His hand brushed mine, then my waist, then higher. I didn't stop him. He kissed me. I saw it coming. I didn't flinch. I didn't pull back. No. Instead, I kissed him back. Harder. Everything after that felt like a blur. His hands, my silence, the bed behind us. My heart pounded, but not with excitement, with guilt. I remember staring past him at the ceiling, trying to feel something, anything. But all I felt was distance, like I was watching someone else in my place, making decisions I couldn't take back. When it was over, Marcus grabbed his phone, scrolling like nothing had happened. I wrapped the blanket around myself and sat in the bathroom, eyes burning, stomach in knots. I cried there, knees pulled to my chest, until the mirror fogged over and the silence felt unbearable. I left that night. I didn't even say goodbye. The roads were dark, but I knew the way home by heart. I slipped into bed next to Grace, still wearing the clothes from earlier, and felt her shift beside me. Her tiny fingers curled around mine in her sleep. I promised myself it would never happen again. But it did. Not with Marcus. With the lies, the cover-ups, the rehearsed stories I told without blinking. I was drowning in secrets, and somehow, I kept choosing not to come up for air. Daniel knew something was wrong. He became quieter, more careful. He asked fewer questions. The space between us grew, and I let it. I convinced myself he was pulling away, that he didn't see me anymore, that I deserved more, that this was all his fault. I blamed the man who did nothing but love me, and then it all fell apart. Grace heard me on the phone with Vanessa one night. I was crying, saying things I shouldn't have said in front of a child. She didn't understand it all, but she understood enough. She told Daniel the next day. Just enough for him to understand everything. He didn't yell. He didn't accuse. He asked me one question. Is it true? And I couldn't lie. Not to that face. Not to the man who gave up his dreams to build mine. He packed a bag that night, took Grace, said he needed time. Said he'd be in touch. I called every day, texted, begged, apologized, explained, justified. Nothing worked. He filed for divorce 2 weeks later. He didn't contest custody at first, said he wanted to be fair. But then more came out. Texts, emails, receipts. Marcus bragged to people. Vanessa turned on me when it got messy. Daniel's lawyer destroyed me in court, and the judge ruled in his favor. I watched Grace walk out of the courtroom holding her father's hand, her backpack bouncing, her hair in the braids I used to make. She didn't look back. I haven't seen her in 11 months. Daniel has full custody. I get supervised visits twice a month, but she hasn't come, not once. She doesn't want to. She drew a picture at school last month. Her teacher sent it to me. It was of her family, her dad, her, their dog. I wasn't in it. I live alone now. In a tiny one-bedroom apartment with peeling paint and secondhand furniture. I finished school, got a job at a daycare. I make just enough to cover rent. I don't date. I don't go out. I don't even use social media. There's nothing to share. I see Daniel sometimes at school functions. From a distance. He never looks at me. He still wears his wedding band. I think it's habit. Or maybe punishment. I think about what I had. What I ruined. Not for love, not for passion, but for validation, for the thrill of being noticed, for the lie that I could be more without the man who gave me everything. I tell myself I'd give anything to go back, but I wouldn't deserve it. Because I didn't just cheat on my husband. I erased a family. I broke a little girl's trust. I shattered the man who built me from nothing. And no apology will ever put those pieces back together. So I live. I wake up. I work. I breathe. And every night I sit on the floor of this silent apartment and pray that Grace knows I love her. That somewhere, under the betrayal, under the shame, under the ruin, she still remembers the mother I used to be, before I became the woman who threw it all away.